but I mean, really, for real, chicken fry, man,
I
I
saw her
couldn't
kicking too.
believe and punt, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Just like throwing down in the back alley.
Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join three Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Lori.
We are talking about Special Forces Season 4, Episode number 6, and this one is called Grit. I think that's appropriate for this one.
I think grit is appropriate for every episode.
Yeah, really. We start at 0648 hours, which is 6:48 a.m., and there's 11 recruits remaining. So I can't believe we're 6 episodes in, and I just realized that Eric Decker was married to Jessie James Decker. I just thought it was coincidental that they had the same last name. I didn't realize they were married.
I didn't realize they were married either. And then, I'm watching the episode and she's like rubbing his beard and then she's kissing. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So then I had to kind of like rewind it and then I had to pull up the cast on my phone and I was like, dude, they're a couple. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Like I didn't realize that there was another couple. Another
Yeah.
married couple, another ex-NFL player. Like,
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
So Eric Decker is talking about his greatest achievement in the NFL was playing in the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. And they go out, GSs call them out, and they let them know that the course is going to be moving faster and it's going to be more intense. And we're going to start taking armbands. So letting them know that they need to be on their game.
Yeah. They need to keep it stepped up.
Yep. They tell them to take off their Bergens and they have to put them over their heads and lock it out for 10 seconds. 10 seconds doesn't seem like that long.
I think when you got to hold that heavy ass thing up, it is a long time.
Yeah, I guess it was 35. I think they were 35 pounds. I saw that someplace that they all weighed 35 pounds and they had to weigh them every morning. Like they had to weigh 35 pounds.
Jeez.
I know. So it was 35 pounds that they were holding over their heads. So they get up to, they're on the way to the course. And prior to that, actually, Chanel was having a hard time holding that. Number 8 was having a hard time holding that over her head. I mean, she's a tiny person. And the fact that they're all
Yeah.
holding the same amount over their head is a little bit crazy to me. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She said she's like, I'm crying like a little bitch. Like she was upset at herself for being emotional. But I think, listen, the fact that you're even still there and you're participating, like, don't be upset at yourself.
That you're there at all is
Yeah,
just fantastic because I would not be.
exactly.
Especially that you get paid whether you stay or not. You get paid the same whether you leave the first day or you stay the whole time.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
So on the way out to the course, Eric is talking about his wife, Jessie James. He said, someone asked, like, do you both work from home? And he's like, well, no, she's my sugar mama. And he's referring to, Jessie James because, he's retired. I mean, he's an ex-NFL player.
Yeah. So I think he stays home with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next test that they're going to do is they're going to be running through a terrain with their packs on. I don't know how far the terrain is because they don't really tell us.
Right. But I wanted to mention when they were getting ready in the tent and then they went outside to line up and the one person, I forget who it was, one of the girls got in trouble for their shoelaces not being tied. And the DS said, why aren't you guys looking out for each other? And in a real life military situation, your team, that's how it would be. You would be totally looking out for each other and everything. But I think because this is a competition, it kind of changes that dynamic about it.
Or either that or they're so, they're worried about just getting through it themselves. That they're not.
Surviving, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. G is struggling to get through this trek through the terrain. And Brianna's telling her, like, don't give up, keep it up. Like she's, hyping her up. And number
Yeah,
8,
wasn't it like
Chanel.
uphill? Wasn't it uphill
It was,
too?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was uphill. It was a tough
Crazy.
terrain. It's not like they were running like, a flat it was a tough
Right, right.
terrain. And number 8 is really falling behind, like, she's really struggling, and that's Chanel, and the
Mhm,
DS says to her, like, "You can't even see your teammates anymore, you've fallen so far behind, they're out of your view."
mhm,
So, he takes her armband. He says, "You're out." So now it's 10:21 hours and 10 recruits remain, which is 10:21 in the morning, AM.
mhm.
I felt bad for her because I know that she really wanted to continue, she just physically didn't have it in her.
No, I don't think she did.
The next thing they're gonna do once they get to where they're going is they're gonna do what they call a postman's walk, which is they're gonna walk between 2 mountains, and they're gonna sidestep on a 165-foot wide stretch of rope that they
Nope.
said 165 feet above the canyon floor.
That's why I'm saying nope.
That looked crazy.
Yes, very
That
crazy.
looked crazy. So they're gonna break them up into 2 teams for that. The first team was Brianna, Randall Cobb, and Gia. So Randall was the first one to go. Oh, also, they had 10 minutes. The entire team had to get across the canyon in 10 minutes total. If
Mhm.
it took any longer than 10 minutes, they fail, which for 3 people, that's not a lot of time.
No! Not at
It's not
all.
a lot of time. Randall's the first one to go across. He's the one who's gonna set the pace. I thought he was doing a good job. He looked like he was doing a good job. I mean, he was wobbling, but he was fighting through it. He got across it in under 2 minutes, and then next up was Brianna. Brianna does it in 4 minutes, 4 minutes or less, but by the time Gia gets up there, she has 3 minutes and 35 seconds,
Right.
which isn't enough time. It's just not enough time because honestly, like, if it wasn't timed, I mean, they would have done it. Like, she definitely finished it, but she didn't finish it in time.
Right.
And the DS is yelling at Gia as she's going across, and I guess what happened was her rope, the top rope was stuck on her helmet. She had this thing on the top of her helmet, so she was having a hard time maneuvering. And, she's yelling that at him, that my helmet's stuck. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care that her helmet's stuck.
He yelled back at her, "I had it in my mouth the whole time, but I still got across." And he did have it that rope, like, jammed by his
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, "Stop talking back or I'll throw you the F off the course." And she was like, "I'm sorry." So the next group up is Mark Estes, Jesse James Decker, and Shawn. So at this point, we learn a little bit about Jesse James Decker, that she comes from a military family, that her biological father was in the Army and her stepdad was Air Force. So she feels like, she was raised around this.
Mhm.
I mean, they did pass, the 3 of them. They were the first ones to pass. The final team is Christie Rampone, Eric Decker, and Cody Brown. So, I don't remember, I think Eric went first. Eric went first. He was 6 minutes, and then Christie Rampone, and then Cody Brown was the last one to go.
Right.
And what did I write about Cody?
I know he made it across.
He made it across, but they failed because he didn't make it in time. They all made it across, but he didn't make it in time, so they failed, and that was another one. He was so close to the end, but,
Yes.
on the way back, Eric Decker was coughing really bad. I mean, you could hear it was not a good cough.
And, Eric Decker, he did that ropes thing totally different than anybody else. I don't know if
In
you
what
noticed
way?
that. Because he had a different way of holding the top wire with his arms. He was, like, leaning into it where everybody else was kinda leaning back and he just did it totally different. And then he did some weird thing where when he was faltering in the middle, then all of a sudden he put the rope, like, behind his head. So he did it 2 different ways than everybody else did.
Well, that's interesting, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So, when they get back to the base camp, the DSs decide that they don't know that much about Eric Decker, so they're gonna call him back and find out, you know, what his story is. They ask him how he's feeling, like they ask all of them. He says he's exhausted mentally and physically. He's sore. They ask what his reason for going on the course was, and he said he wanted to do something harder than he'd ever done before, which, you know, I commend him for that. That's a great reason to be there. He's doing it for himself.
Yeah.
The DS says, "Well, why aren't you pushing?" Like, he doesn't feel like he's giving it his all.
Yeah, and he
He's
says
like,
he's afraid to fail, right?
Right.
Isn't that what he says?
Yeah.
He's afraid to fail.
The DS thinks he's only giving it 80%, and he said, "I want you to give it 100%." They asked him if he was happy the way his pro career ended. He said he was fearful to fail and be cut later in his career, so it was just easier for him to retire. So he made the choice. And listen,
Yeah,
I think that's a tough decision, especially for any professional athlete. As you get older, it gets that much harder to recover from an injury.
absolutely.
There's younger people coming in the game all the time, and to have to
Mhm.
compete with them, I think it's the right decision to
I think it
retire.
I think it's a smart idea because listen, one of these times you're gonna take that hit and it's gonna, like, fuck you up too bad. And
Right.
you know, you're gonna walk away with a serious injury. So, I understand where he's coming from, that it upset him to have to do that, but, you can't always go out with a blaze of glory.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to go out with, just a little bit of fire, and you're fine.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because back in the tent, and I think it was in Jessie's confessional kinda thing, where she said she just can't imagine, not having that, like, adrenaline rush from playing the football anymore. She's like, I still get it when I go on stage, so I know what that rush is, and to just have it all of a sudden gone, it's gotta be freaky."
Yeah. And I love that she acknowledges that for him.
Mhm. Lord, and
Even
then we do that murder ball. Good God.
My god, yeah. He also mentions that he's a father of 4 kids, so it's not
Mhm.
like he's sitting at home twiddling his thumbs, you
Oh,
know?
no, 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 he's
You know?
running.
Yeah. When he gets back to the camp, they ask him how it went, and he's like, "It went it went okay." He said, "Jessie tells me, like, they're just trying to motivate me, like, they wanted to motivate me to be better at myself." And
Mhm.
Randall says, "Wow, I really wanna kiss my wife and hold my babies." Like, when because he sees them together.
Yes. Yes.
When did it come out that Christie was divorced? Is that in the tent that it came out?
I don't remember. I didn't write that down.
I have that as
But
my
yeah,
next note. It must have
I
come
thought that
out in the
was
10th.
sad. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
did
sad.
too.
It was
Yeah.
sad because it doesn't seem like her husband was a great guy, doesn't seem like he was supportive. I don't know, I'm feeling like she had a really hard time of it.
Yeah, actually, it did come out in the tent at this point. I think Randall must have asked her because she said that she stayed longer than she should have and
Mhm.
now trying to heal, but she feels like it's too late. I think that is sad. I mean,
It is sad, yeah.
on their
Especially,
way.
you're trying to be a professional athlete, you're on the road,
Yeah,
you got your kids with you got no backup. It's you. That's a tough game to be in.
I agree. They're on the way to the next challenge, and Randall says, and you had mentioned this earlier that somebody had said this. Randall said, "We just got to get to dinner." So just
Yes. Yep, just get to the next meal.
get to the next meal. And as soon as he said that, I was like, "That's what Lori said." They said to keep them going.
Mhm.
And now they're gonna complete, they're gonna do the murder ball. This was ridiculous. This was
Yes.
ridiculous. So they're splitting into 2 teams, Alpha team and Bravo team, and the goal is to get the ball over the opposition's line, right?
Yeah, make a touchdown.
Right, but, like, brutal size and speed and strength doesn't count for anything, like, you just need to get the ball across however you do that.
Mhm, and playing it on that nasty mud.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't understand the game. So first in is Andrew East and Eric Decker, and they're head to head.
But they must have eaten that alive, though. They must have been like,
Well,
"Yeah,
because that's
let's
what they
go, because 'cause
do.
they're football, you know what I mean? They're
Right,
football. So they're like,
right,
"Okay, give me a ball and somebody I gotta tackle, and I gotta get the ball away from them. Game on." You know what I mean? I'm
right.
just saying, I could just, like, imagine the adrenaline rush. They're like, "Yeah."
No, I can totally imagine that too. So Andrew East gets the ball first, and Decker tries to stop him, but then the DS sends Mark in as well. So it went from like a one-on-one challenge to now a two-on-one challenge. I'm like, well, this isn't making sense. And then
Yeah,
they're
I don't
fighting over like it
Yeah,
didn't
I
make
think it
sense
was
to me.
just to get the ball. It was just to get the ball. It didn't matter who was in there, like, just the focus was to get that ball. It didn't matter whether you had 10 people coming at you. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. Those girls came in, woo, they were like whack. And chicken fry, she was throwing
I know.
punches, kicking. Nobody else did that at all. I was like,
I
"Damn, Pop,
know.
look at you, like street fighter." It was hysterical.
The fact that, I mean, Christie's the one who finally gets the ball and scores, right?
Mhm.
I mean, what does that tell you, right?
Yeah.
No, they get, I mean, it was brutal. It was actually brutal to watch it, to be honest with you. I was like, this isn't any sport I've ever seen. I mean, you know what it
No,
seemed? I think it was probably more like a rugby, but I don't really watch rugby. I think they play like that in rugby. Like,
I
it's
have
just
no
like,
idea. I have
yeah.
no idea.
And then the final battle is going to be all the recruits.
Yeah, it's just a free for all.
It was just a free for all.
Just get the ball and get it across.
It starts out with Mark Estes has the ball, then Randall's out there, then Brianna's out there. Once again, Christie winds up getting the ball and runs and scores.
That must have been
So,
so nice for her though, because
yeah,
she failed at all, almost all the challenges to date,
yeah,
so that must have been a nice little boost for her.
yeah. I felt good for her for that. I was glad that she got those wins. The competition's over. The 3 NFL stars come out the worst.
The worst.
Because honestly, I mean, I think Andrew broke his nose, they said. I mean, Eric Decker hurt his back. Randall was struggling to begin with before he even got out there.
Mhm.
I mean, I think Andrew really hurt his back bad so much so that, you know,
Yeah, I think
they're
so
not gonna
too.
let him continue. So they all get back to the base. Jessie says to Chris, like, I thought that was fun. Like the women enjoyed doing that, which I was glad to see that.
Yeah, it's really funny, but I mean, really, for real, chicken fry, man,
I
I
saw her
couldn't
kicking too.
believe and punt, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Just, like, throwing down in the back alley.
So the DSs need to decide who they're gonna take back this time, and they decide they're gonna take back Christie because she feels like, she's a strong woman and she steamrolled all the men. As they said, she really turned it on. So they want to learn more about her. She gets back there and they say, like, prior to this challenge, like, I didn't really notice you much. Like, you kind of were, just there. Like, you didn't really stand out. But today you really turned it on. And she said, well, this is something like way out of my comfort zone. I'm scared of everything on this course. But I guess once she got a ball in her hands, then she
Sure,
was,
yeah. She was like the football guy, she was like, "Yeah, game on. You
yep,
can do something with the ball."
yep, yep. She's like, "It's way harder than anything I've experienced in my 19 years of playing soccer." Listen, anyone who does a professional sport for 19 years has got to be
That's a long
disciplined.
time. Yeah, most
It is,
definitely.
yeah, it is a long time.
And when after her tactical questioning and,
Mhm.
you find out that she, took her kids with her.
Yes.
So not only was she an older woman in a highly competitive sport, at the end of that 10 years, she was also somebody who was dragging her kids around all the time too. So
Yes, 2 daughters, yes.
talk about exhaustion.
Yep, they grew up on the road, she said.
Mhm.
They said to her, "Did your husband come with you too?" And she said, "No." They said, "Where is he at?" She said, "At home." She said, "I was the breadwinner, on the road every day, doing everything."
And then she said, coming home and then having arguments.
Yep.
Not good.
And she also said the hardest thing is admitting that you're in a toxic marriage.
And I'm sure she probably, like a lot of people do, you feel like you want to stay in the marriage until your children are a certain age and just pretend that everything is good, you know. And like she said, I was a leader, team leader for years. I led team of all these
Yeah, for
women,
8
all these
years.
outlets, but I couldn't lead in my own marriage. So it's almost like leading a double life, which is exhausting.
Yes, yes. I think it's good that she's there. I think it's good for her that she's there, and good for her
Most
daughters
definitely.
to
Yeah.
see her there. I mean, because 'cause they've seen her on the road with her all those years, and they know who she is. So she gets back to the tent, and they ask how it was, and she said, "It was hard as shit. I'm hoping my 50s are better than my 40s." Well, I don't know, Christy, but as someone in their 50s, these may not be better than your
You're
40s.
kinda sucking, girl. It's kinda sucking. So, I don't know what to say. Just go do whatever you wanna do and do some fun shit and just fuck
Yep,
everybody because that's all that's left.
yep, exactly.
Alright?
So Eric is really struggling with the pain. So the medical, they call him back and they're concerned with his hip and they don't think he can safely carry on. So they have to, the DSs take his armband and tell him that he needs to quit. And as soon as he goes back and tells Jessie, she goes, I'm going with you.
Yeah, I'm out. Yep,
I'm out.
it was great.
And
And it
honestly,
was nice you got to actually see, like, a goodbye between them all.
yes,
Like, you really didn't
yes.
get to see that. And, he probably had some type of injury previously from football,
Yeah,
because
probably.
I know we said he hurt his back, but then they're like, "Your hip." So, I'm wondering if he had some kind of previous injury, like what that he had to list from when he signed up,
Could be. Yeah, yeah,
you
it could
know?
be. It was nice to see them all say goodbye, and it was
Yeah, it was
nice
ni
that she stood by her husband, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think she's a quitter. I think by her
no.
leaving, I think that was the stand-up thing to do. I think it was
Well,
the
you know
stand-up
what
thing
she
to do.
did? She did what was good for her. She did
Yeah,
what was good for her. So, that's what sh that was what was important to her, that was what was good for her, so she's a winner
and
no
he
matter
was
what.
fine with it too. He was like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah." She has to go report to the DSs and let them know that she's gonna be leaving, and now they are the ninth and 10th recruits to leave, and as she's leaving, she said, "We fly together," meaning her and her husband, which I thought was good. And those are the only notes I have.
Now, I watched a whole podcast with them. So on the podcast was Andrew and Shawn, Jessie and Eric Decker, Avi, Randall Cobb, and I think that's it. So 7 out of the 20 people are from Nashville on the show. Yes.
Well, that's
And
interesting.
yeah, so Eric Decker was asked season 1, but his wife was on tour, so he never did it. Jessie Decker didn't want to really do it at all, but they only wanted Eric as a couple. They wanted another married couple. So she said yes, she would do it. Randall Cobb, when they called him, they told him he had 48 hours to make a decision, and he only watched 2 episodes, and then he had to give an answer. So he only had 2.5 weeks to prepare, and he wasn't even working out at the time. And a big thing he said was he didn't factor in anything at all about the psychological aspect of it. Let's see.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And then they were telling a story about how when they were in the car going from one challenge to another, sometimes it was like an hour that they were in the car, and the producers were in the car, and they figured out that the producers always had snacks. So they said it was like this really bizarre thing. Like they would ask the producers if they could have a snack, but you couldn't just say, "What do you got? Can I have some?" Andrew was saying that you had to like guess in order to get the snack, and they wouldn't talk to you. So you had to say like, do you have a power bar? Do you have an apple? Do you have an orange?" And if you got it right, then they would just
You
go
get
like
it.
this. They would put it behind them and not say a word and give it to you. So I thought that was really
Oh,
funny.
that's interesting.
Yeah, you could only get it if you guessed. And then one time, Jessie and I think Ravi, no, Jessie and Randall Cobb were in the back seat on a ride, going to a challenge, and they kept telling them, warning them about dehydration. So therefore, all the cast members kept drinking water and drinking water. But then you had to pee all the time. So then you're
Right.
in this car ride for like an hour, and they kept telling the producers, "You need to pull over. He's got to go to the bathroom. You got to pull over." And they wouldn't. So finally, Randall had 2 empty water bottles and just started filling them up. And Jessie was messing around with producers going, "He's going all over the floor. You're going to have to clean this all up as soon as we pull." But meanwhile, he was going in the bottles. And then at nighttime in the tent, if you had to go to the bathroom, you couldn't go alone. You had to wake somebody up. And the lady Jessie Decker says she really doesn't sleep well at all, even at home. Like she has this whole routine in order to go to sleep, with like a countdown and like all this different
Right.
ritualistic things that she does in order to fall asleep. And she said she just couldn't sleep. So she barely slept the whole time they were there because she kept being afraid that okay, I'm gonna fall asleep and then they're gonna wake us up to go do something. So she was always the bathroom buddy. So you couldn't go alone. Ravi said he was a big con artist. I told you before that he brought the earplugs, but he
Yes.
also told, the med staff that he gets migraines. So they gave him, a bottle of Advil. So he was like the drug supplier. He gave everybody the Advil. Cody had some, like, weird expired, like, caffeine stuff that he was trying to pawn off on everybody like a supplement, and it was like, "No, it's expired." And Shawn's wife on the podcast also said that he was on something the whole time, Cody, that, like, it was crazy. And Andrew was saying that he
You
was
think it
like,
was caffeine? Do you think it was caffeine?
I think it was maybe he's on some steroids, maybe he's on some, there's a lot of jacked up supplements that you can, like creatine. There's stuff that can, like, really,
Mhm.
amp you up. And another weird thing is Cody said that, like, he hardly ate anything because every time they went to put something in front of him, he was like, "Oh, that's got pepper on it, I can't eat it." So it was very weird. And Andrew was saying how there was, like, you know, even especially for the helicopter challenge, you would think when you got there would be, like, safety prep. Duck down, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. He said, "No." It was just like he was like, "This is the most dangerous thing." He said he couldn't believe how dangerous it was. They just slapped you on there, like, with there's no
No training.
regulations, no nothing,
Right.
nothing. Jessie Decker said she felt like everyone became a different character of themselves that maybe you wouldn't have seen if not for the show. So I thought that was very
Yeah, that's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
And, let's see. Ravi said that his hack for getting through everything was to always try to find somebody to help, which I thought that was very, very sweet.
Yeah, that is sweet.
Let's see what else.
I love this behind the scenes
Oh,
information.
yeah, yeah, well, it was fun. Let's see.
I did start listening to Shawn and Andrew East's podcast that you told me about. They've been doing it for 2 years,
2
not
years,
10
what did I
years.
say, 10 years? I don't know. Must have made that shit right up. Oh, they
But I
also
do
said
like them. I like their
yeah,
dynamic
they're very
together. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. They also said, the last thing I have is the psychologist told them that they would need, like, a safe word when they got home. That from all this, rush of adrenaline, that it was gonna take a while to, like, decompress, and the psychologist told them, "There's gonna be times where you're just gonna have to, like, have a word with your partner, and then that word means that you just go and just decompress somewhere a little bit by yourself," that was gonna happen. And then Sean and Andrew, remember I told you that, the other podcast I watched on YouTube, they were gone for 2 weeks before this challenge,
Yes.
came home for a week, and then left for this. Now when they got home, they were home for a week and took their kids on another vacation. I was like, "What are you crazy."
Good
Wow.
for them.
Yeah. But they said it was very helpful for them because then they weren't going from being all amped up on the show to being home in a regular routine and acclimating. They went from the show to just a week at home and then away somewhere, and they felt that that was very helpful for them to kinda get things back on track. And then another thing I was wondering, I wonder, like, if a show like this, like, I wonder if they have it pre-set up that if by, you know, the 3rd episode or something, nobody's left, that somebody's gonna have to leave. Like, you know what I mean? Because you
I
can't
think
just
that
keep
they do. I
doing the
think that they
show.
do. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think that they do. Because, they said before this episode started, like, we're gonna have to start taking bands. And they took Chanel's band. I mean,
yeah,
this episode, we lost 3 people. So
yeah,
now we're down to 8.
yeah, because you gotta start getting rid of people,
Right,
even if they're
right,
not failing, because you can't end up at the end with everybody still there.
right.
So, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else to add?
Nope, that's that.
Okay. So until next time, thank you for watching and listening. Please subscribe and give us 5-star reviews. Bye.
Bye.